Hi, Sarah here, and I just thought I'd do a quick recap and reaction to Stranger Things Season 5, Episode 3, The Turnbow Trap. I'll start out with doing my little recap here, and then I'll put a reaction at the end. But we start out with Holly, and she is now living at Henry's house because she's bought into the fact that if she lives with him, he'll bring all of her friends and family in and they'll all be protected. And while she's having this nice little perfect breakfast in this idyllic house that's Henry's, it's all just a staged thing that Holly believes to be reality or whatever, Henry tells her that Derek is going to be the next friend that he brings in for protection. And Holly at first doesn't like this because Derek is a bully and a jerk, and she's like, I don't know. But Henry is like, well, you don't want him to die, do you? And she's like, well, no. So she accepts it. And then Henry tells her that he needs to go off and do something. So he's going to leave her alone at the house, and everything at the house is hers as long as she stays out of the woods that are at the edge of the property around this house. So she agrees to do that, and she goes in the house and she finds some pretty dresses and she gets all dressed up, and she finds Henry's Boy Scout stuff and she puts his Boy Scout scarf on and sees some old pictures of him. And then she hears a knock at the door, and at first she's not sure if she should answer it or not. Then she answers the door, but nobody's there. So she goes to the mailbox, and in the mailbox is a letter and a compass, and the letter is from Henry telling her, hey, I need you to go to this spot on this map I'm giving you. And in order for her to do that, though, she does have to go through the woods, and he told her not to go into the woods. So she kind of debates this for a while. Then she decides, okay, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to do what he's asking me to do. So she goes through the woods and she gets to the spot of the X on the map, and she finds a big rock wall. And while she's kind of checking out the rock wall, she sees something that freaks her out, and so she goes and runs and hides. And then she notices that somebody else is chasing her while she's trying to get away, and then eventually the person chasing her catches up to her, and we realize it's Max. So Max, who's in a coma in real life, is still up and around in this alternate reality, the Upside Down. I guess a version of the Upside Down is what it is. And that's where we leave Holly for now. Then we go back to Hopper and Eleven in the Upside Down, and they're trying to get through this big wall that they ran into in the last episode. Eleven's trying to use her powers. Hopper's trying to use a knife to cut through it, and just nothing is working. And while they're doing that, they hear some military vehicles coming. So they're like, oh crap, we got to get out of here. And while they're driving up to the wall, I think at first they don't see Hopper and Eleven, but the military vehicle, they have this satellite dish looking weapon on top of their vehicle, and it sends some kind of sonic ray. They don't exactly explain what it is, but it beams out something that immobilizes Eleven, and she can't move, and it's causing her a lot of pain. So Hopper realizes that she's immobilized, and he grabs her, and they run and hide behind a big billboard sign that's next to the road. And while the military pulls up, they're kind of checking things out, and they're like, oh, okay, we're all good, let's continue. They were just kind of doing their normal sort of, I guess, rounds, checking the perimeter, whatever you want to call it. And just as they're about to leave, they notice Hopper's knife stuck into the wall, and they're like, that shouldn't be there, somebody else is here. And so they start really looking around, and they see there's a hole in the billboard sign, and they see Hopper's face looking through the hole in the sign. And then this battle takes place, and Hopper's able to use a grenade, I believe, to take out whatever this immobilizing weapon, sonic ray, whatever you want to call it. He's able to take that out, and that allows Eleven to return to her normal self, and so they both battle the soldiers, and they end up capturing one of the soldiers. And Eleven has the idea of, hey, let's interrogate this guy and figure out how we can get around this wall, or maybe he knows something about the wall to figure out a way to get around it. They realize that he really doesn't know anything about that, but while they're questioning him, they realize that he knows Dr. K, and they're very interested in knowing like who Dr. K is and all of this stuff. So 11 goes into this soldier's mind and sort of looks around the military base through his mind, and they show her sort of walking around in his head as he's doing stuff around the military base. And while she's looking around, she sees a door. And so she goes to open the door, and then everything just goes blank. And so she's convinced that whatever they're using to immobilize her is behind that door. And she thinks that they have Vecna captured at this military base. So now we go back to Nancy and the rest of the team, and they've all met back up at the radio station, and they're now all comparing notes of the different things that have happened to them. Mike and Nancy talk about how they think that Holly is with Henry / Vecna, that Mr. Whatsit is Vecna / Henry. Will then realizes that Derek is going to be the next victim, because as we saw in the previous episode, Will has the ability through the hive mind to see through Vecna's eyes, and Vecna can see through the eyes of his next victim. So Will figures out that Derek is going to be the next victim, so they're like, we've got to protect Derek from being taken. Let's try to protect Derek from being taken, and maybe we can shoot a Demogorgon with a tracker, and that Demogorgon will lead us to where Holly is in the Upside Down. And Will explains to the rest of the team his abilities to be able to see through Vecna's eyes and all of that. But they realize like the only way to really protect Derek is to kidnap him and then set up a trap for the Demogorgon at Derek's house. So they think that they'll just drug the family, they'll set a trap for the Demogorgon, they'll shoot it with a tracker, and then they'll be able to follow it in the Upside Down to get Holly back. And they realize one of the ways that the way they're going to have to do it is they realize that Erica, Lucas's younger sister, is friends with Derek's sister. So they go visit Erica, but it turns out that Erica and Derek's sister are no longer friends. They had a big fight. They're not in touch with each other anymore, and they used to be like best buddies. So Lucas and Mike convince Erica to help them with enacting this plan, and even if you don't like Derek's sister anymore, you got to pretend like you want to make up with her so that we can get this plan going. And so they figure like, okay, Erica can show up at Derek's house with a pie that's drugged, of course, to knock them all out, on the pretense that she wants to make up with her best friend, but really it's just to drug the whole family so they can do this other plan that they have. So she shows up at the house with a pie. She, of course, pretends to eat pie. Everybody in the family, except Derek's sister, eats pie and passes out. So Erica, being ready for things to go sideways, has a syringe of whatever knockout drug they're using and basically injects Derek's sister with it to knock her out. So then they come in, the whole team comes into the house, they set up a trap, they cut a hole in the floor and then put a rug over it. So when the Demogorgon steps on the rug, it'll fall down into the basement, into another trap, and they're able to shoot it with a tracker. So that ends up happening. The Demogorgon comes in, it falls through the floor. They shoot it with the tracker and set it on fire, and it, of course, then runs off into the Upside Down. So the plan works. We'll see what the fallout is of drugging this whole family, though. Anyway, we do get a scene of Will and Robin going to the hospital to get the drugs and all of that. And they meet up with Murray, gives them all the weapons and all the supplies that they need to enact this plan. Dustin cuts up Steve's car to be the new mobile radio instead of using the radio van, which kind of has some electrical glitches. And I think it ran out of power and stuff. So rather than trying to fix the van, Dustin's like, we're just using your car, which of course Steve just loves that. Anyway, so the plan works. They're able to track the Demogorgon and Upside Down, and they're hoping that it leads them to where Holly is. And the episode ends with Will realizing that Vecna knows where they are and is probably going to be coming after them. But that's where the episode ends. We'll see what happens in episode 4. My reaction to the video. I think, again, it's another good... Every episode seems to be building on the next one. I really thought the trap they came up with was very clever. The scene of Erica with Derek's family just trying to play this role of everything's all fine and dandy, and that she's ready with the syringe to just jab her best friend with it if it comes to that she's all prepared to do that. That was great. They made it even just a little bit funny there. Just the way she holds the needle, like, haha. Anyway, I liked that little part. I like that the team, they have like a whole system set up in place. They have Murray to smuggle in the goods that they need. They have the connections with getting the drugs and with Erica being friends with the... They're able to put this plan together and actually have it work. And the fact that Dustin was a little bit pissed off at Steve and so wasn't afraid to cut up his car. It's a good setup, and now we're going to see what happens with their ability to track the Demogorgon, and I'm curious to see where things go. And overall, again, it's another episode you need to watch because all these episodes are building upon the earlier ones, and there obviously is some more setup for future episodes here. So I'm looking forward to watching the next episode and the rest of the season for that matter. And I'll see y'all again soon. Bye.